The Maid of Sker is based on a novel from 1872 that took inspiration from a Welsh ballad that may or may not be based on a true story. The game is a first-person survival horror game where you play as Thomas Evans arriving at the Sker Hotel on Sker Island. Thomas received a letter from his significant other, Elizabeth Williams, to come to the hotel to help her. After arriving, you soon find out that the hotel is overrun by the Quiet Ones, a cult that has occupied the living space and who has Elizabeth trapped in a room. It is up to Thomas to make his way through the estate and uncover Elizabeth's family secrets, save Elizabeth, and stop the cult. The story isn't engrossing by any means, and the dialogue is incredibly cheesy, with some lines and thoughts too emphasized and overbearingly emotionless that it's hard to care for the characters or situation that you've been thrown in. The game plays out simply enough by you walking around and exploring while not getting caught by the enemies. The game is very simple in design and is not complicated or overly complex or confusing when you need to reach your next objective. The main area that you will explore is the hotel and the surrounding areas. The further you get in the story, the more key items you will find that will open up more of the hotel. Right up to the very end, you can explore freely, going back to past areas to search for more items or secrets as you please. The Quiet Ones cannot see you, so they rely on you to make noise in order for them to catch you. That makes traversing the hotel less of a chore because as long as you can see your enemies, you can figure out different paths to take to sneakily and quickly get by. Thomas can use sound to his advantage to distract the Quiet Ones and trick them to go one way while leaving an opening for him to go another. The Quiet Ones will hear Thomas though if he bumps into anything. There's also a cool mechanic in the game where you can cover your mouth and hold your breath to not make a sound, which can lead to some super intense moments. Covering your mouth for too long though will leave Thomas gasping for air and making loud sounds. There are also dusty areas in the hotel that you need to hold your breath to get through or you will start coughing, giving away your position. I feel like the game doesn't really take full advantage of the gameplay components, because you can safely walk from place to place. Even on the harder difficulties, where the enemies can hear you better and you take more damage, as long as you are quiet you are fine. You do acquire a weapon of sorts that can be used to stun enemies, but I found the game way more fun if you never used it. There could have been some more moments where holding your breath was actually needed other than an extra way to stay more quiet. I will say that I've never played a game where the sound of footsteps felt so threatening, and there are some truly tense moments when you are crouching right next to someone trying to not make a noise. The game looks good all in all, but some textures can be flat. Lighting is super weird with it being a horror game, and some areas just being way too dark and confusing to navigate. You would think increasing the lighting would fix the problem, but it is hard to adjust correctly. The game has this really weird smoky film over it that makes everything look dusty, so you can never find the perfect balance. Sound and music design is pretty spot on, with music being a key element in the story. Like I said earlier, the sound of footsteps can be terrifying, especially if you're already pinned up against the wall looking for an escape. One thing I didn't like is that the sounds of the hotel creaking and cracking seem to be on a short enough loop that it becomes old pretty quick. There's a sound in particular of a door creaking open, and it's creepy the first couple of times you hear it, but gets old quick after you know how the enemy AI actually is and how to traverse the hotel quickly. There are some different modes in the game that add replayability, with one being a non-combat mode, which is cool if you just want to explore. I thought that was a nice option. I really admire art design and exploring, so I thought that was a well-welcomed extra to the horror franchise that would be nice if it was added to other games. There is also a challenge mode with levels to go through and added weapons to take down enemies. There is also a follow-up game currently in the works called Scare Ritual, which is a 4-player co-op survival game, so it will be cool to see how the mechanics of this game are utilized in a co-op experience. The Maid of Sker is a fun horror survival game that has some interesting ways to play the game, but plays it safe in its approach. The puzzles are all pretty simple in a Resident Evil-like way, and traversing the areas seem threatening at first, but never exceed anything past that after you figure out how the enemies move throughout the game. The game is pretty easy for the most part, even on harder settings, but that doesn't take away the fun and the tense moments you will likely have throughout the game. The story and characters are not memorable, but I think this game is very deservable of at least one playthrough so you can experience the overwhelming pressure of the quiet ones breathing down your neck. I give The Maid of Sker a 7 out of 10.